Welcome to Still Growing in Grace. I'm Mike Zanker. Join me and other amazing guests as we explore and discover better, hope-filled perspectives on biblical texts and difficult themes. Prepare to expand your understanding of God's love and amazing grace. Growing in Grace Ministries Canada and Hope Fellowship, as well as Eastside Church, invite you to enjoy today's program as we dig deeper into what it means to be still growing in grace. And the correct Hello and welcome to Still Growing Grace. I'm glad everyone is enjoying the weather. Hopefully you're enjoying the weather. At least it's really nice where we are now. Snow tomorrow, and it's at the time of this recording, it's the end of March, so it's pretty crazy. Anyway, today's topic, we're going to call the unforced rhythms of grace, not the forced rhythms, the unforced rhythms of grace. And Randy suggested we talk about this because Fred posted something about it. So we're going to just kind of lean over to Fred and have Fred share what the post is likely about or what prompted it. And as I was reading it, I went, this is good. This is something we all need to learn about. So let's dive into it and have some fun with this.
Well, the thought that I wrote about was a weakness that I find in myself is that I find myself always in a hurry.
I have no idea what that's like.
I wrote that I wake up in a hurry. I get dressed in a hurry. I go to the office in a hurry. I drive in a hurry. And the way I started it was with this line: you cannot walk faster than the person you're trying to follow. And we're followers of Christ. And when I read through the New Testament again, they're walking, which makes a difference. But he didn't seem to be in a hurry. So I just talked about the idea of what how do we learn to live at a pace that's a pace of so the idea of posting the verse at the end of it, which is from the paraphrase of the Message, where the verse says this: are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. You'll recover your life. I mean, what a statement, man. I'll show you how to take a real rest, which I think is part of this unforced rhythms of grace. Walk with me, work with me. Now notice it's with me, not ahead of me, trying to control the situation, but you're with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. And so for me, the idea of one aspect of the unforced rhythms of grace is not to be in a hurry, because I think the partners, if you will, the cousins of hurry, maybe are things like worry and fear, and maybe even anger. But also, one thing to think about is that hurry is often a deadly, if you will, enemy to love. It's hard to be kind when you're in a hurry. It's hard to love somebody when you're in a hurry. And oftentimes when you're in a hurry, you're trying to get your stuff done so you can get yourself somewhere else. And so it's rather self-focused. Again, very difficult, I understand, not to fall into the trap in our culture and society, because it's like, really, to live in this world today is to live in a hurry. But I also thought that, just to toss this out, a part of that is learning how to live at rest. So Hebrews chapter 4 discusses the Sabbath rest. So we know that we can't just sit around with our feet up all day. That's not what it means. But I think the idea of living with the unforced rhythms, those two words are hard to say. Every time I've stumbled on it.
Mine did too. We'll all do it.
But to rest, it's this with me. I pointed out in that verse. It's being with the Lord and being able to cast all our care upon Him, and putting the outcome in His control and out of my control. And for me, my
That's hard to do right there. That's hard.
Yeah, being in a hurry is usually my attempt at controlling the outcome. So that's kind of several ideas. That's my shotgun approach to get it started. A lot of different things there, but that's kind of a little bit of my idea of what that unforced rhythms of grace may mean.
I also think when you say the going forward or going fast is to control the outcome, I kind of disagree. I think from your perspective and mine, which are quite similar in the pastoral role, we're rushing ahead because our list is so honking big, and it would just be easier just to follow this ding, 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 ding and go faster. We love people, but the slowing down to meet where people are at and need to be at, even slowing them down, that's hard. I don't even think it's about control. I think if it is control, it's about controlling our list. Right?
Yeah. I think sometimes just more controlling the outcome of situations, is kind of, for me anyway, it seems like when I'm not at rest, I'm trying to make sure the outcomes go as I desire and please.
Do you think your spouse knows? Do you think our spouses know when we're going too fast?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh man.
And another thing, just to toss out, I think part of how we know we're living in these rhythms of grace, I think, is the fruit of the Spirit is evident in our lives, more evident in our lives as we do that, as opposed to trying to just have control and do it in my own strength.
Yeah,
it's true. Actually, I'll let you guys go first. I have something I want to read in just a moment. First response from you guys.
I agree, and this one, like you said, there's an introspective component to this one because I suck at this. I mean, this is my vice, man. I eat fast. I grew up. My dad was a audio guy, right? And when you're an audio guy, and you're doing a big concert, or he was Billy Graham sound man for many, many years. And you're doing,
really?
Yeah, my dad was Billy Graham sound man for 30 years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, you run through sound checks starting at, let's just say you got 7 o'clock show, right? You got sound checks that probably start 3:30, 4 o'clock for, your opening acts, and you get your main act, and, those run up to 5:30. Doors open around 5:30, so you got to have everything shut off by then and the stage cleared, and you're sitting there making your notes and doing your prep and everything, and you get maybe a 15-minute window to run to the chow tent, grab a plate of food, scarf it down because you need to be back because you got background music and you have to be in your seat to prep because the show's going to go on at 7, but there's all the so your window of time when you're in production is nothing if you even get to eat at all. So you learn to eat fast. And so I grew up with a dad that ate like that. I mean, like, my goal was to keep up with him, and not the healthiest habit to get into, to just inhale food, but I inhale food. And then to exacerbate that, I joined the Marine Corps, as you can see by the poster behind me. And I'm not the tallest guy. And the way the Marine Corps works is they stack you up by height in boot camp. And I was on the back third of the platoon. I'm 5'10". I'm not tiny, but, I was not at the front with the...
You still look up to me, man.
Yeah, 6'3" guys, right? And so they all get to sit down for 30 minutes and eat. But by the time you've gotten through the chow line, you have 10 minutes to eat. And so I ate fast there. And so I got like a double. So food for me is just like, and it's such a thing I can't break it. I've kind of almost just embraced it at this point in fact. But I kind of do everything the same way. Patience for me is something I have to really focus on and be aware of. And, it's a fruit of the spirit, so it's supposed to be organic, but man, it's hard for me to be organic with patience sometimes, especially traffic. Heck, I can be at Walmart or Costco or Sam's Club, and the people who are just unaware of their surroundings
Well, that's everybody else in the department
and
store.
just stands in your way. Because I'm in a hurry. I like to go to a store.
There's not just road rage, it's aisle rage.
And I want to get in, get the 4 things I need, and get out. And man, I can be an unloving person in those situations. Even if it's not externalized, internalized. Jesus said you commit murder in your heart if you're angry. I probably am a mass murderer at Walmart. I'm just saying. That's like according to Jesus, right? So, but we live in this consumerism society. Amazon Prime, it'll get you there in 2 days. Anything you want on earth almost, and we've just reinforced this behavior so much. So I think it is a challenge that is somewhat universal. That said, I do try to practice moments of patience and moments of quiet and moments of introspection. And I think a lot of this, as much as there are these externalized facets that I struggle with, I also have to have grace for myself. So one of the things I think about when an unforced rhythm of grace and hurry, because there's a difference between fast and hurry sometimes, right? Just because you're going fast doesn't mean you're in a hurry. Is really how heavy are your steps? And what I mean by that, you said you can only go as fast as the person you're following. But to be light-footed, right, in a dance
or in a car
is graceful, right? That we call that graceful. And to be, again, the metaphor, Mike, metaphor. I'm not, we're white guys. I can dance, by the way. I'm actually I'm a pretty good dancer. But there's a gracefulness. You can move fast and still be graceful. I think of like football running backs and stuff, right? You can be fast and still be graceful. And so the other way I would call it is lightheartedness. So how heavy and how much do you hold on to those moments of impatience and allow them to, calcify? I think those are the things that weigh us down and make us heavy-hearted, heavy-footed. And our ability to release those things quickly and stay light. I think there's a humor element. I'm big on that there's a humility element of us that I think becomes Christ-like in our lightheartedness, and where, I'm being a jerk in this moment, but I can let it go instantaneously. I don't hold a grudge, and I'm able to move on gracefully. Even though I may be in a hurry in that moment, hurry doesn't define who I am all the time. And so maybe that's kind of a little bit of a way I try to manage it, because it is something I'm bad at. But I think the area I'm able to thankfully counterbalance a little bit of that is I don't hold on to that as my place of identity or frustration for very long. I'm pretty fast. I can be really aggressive in traffic, but when I get to the destination, I don't stay in that place of anxiety very long, if at all.
It's almost in my nature to move slowly. And my wife, tells me all the time that I got to pick up the pace.
I'm a sloth.
Right. So I'm the guy you're probably blowing your horn at, but so, the unforced rhythms of grace. However, with that said, it's not like, I walk in this incredible peace or anything. That's not necessarily true.
You're faking it pretty good then.
I worry slower than everybody else does. But my wife and I, we watched The Shack recently for about the 3rd or 4th time, and I love the movie. And there's this scene where Papa is out on the porch and she's got her sunglasses on and her feet propped up and she's just resting. And the main character walks up and he says, "You just catching a few rays?" And she said, honey, you have no idea what I'm doing right now. And it was funny, but it gives you a picture of a God that's like not in a hurry. He does what he does, but he's not in a hurry doing it. And I would like to tap into that, because one of the things that I deal with not being in a hurry is getting behind, because I'm not in a hurry, behind on my work and behind on other things, because I'm not in a hurry. So that leaves me work. Oh man, I should have done this. I should have done that, and that sort of thing. So, but there's a place where you're not in a hurry, but you're getting done what you need to get done. And there's this tension between the two that I'm trying to find that place. You guys are probably trying to find it from the other end. And I'm on this side trying to find it.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Right.
I think it proves we're all in process, as you like to say, Mike. None of us have arrived when we talk about this. Well, two of the words that I try to differentiate sometimes is just, again, words. Richard's not here today, but he talks about words aren't the end all be all. We need to be flexible with our words, but it's the concept of busyness versus fullness, right? How's your day been? Well, it's been busy. I probably have been rushed, whether I'm moving too slow or I'm moving too fast. Busy just feels like something it's energy that doesn't really feel like it has a product that we are proud of or that we have value in, or we did a lot. There's a lot of energy and a lot of effort for minimal results. Say, man, my day was full. That's a different feeling, right? And you may have moved just as fast or just as slow, but you feel like the things that were achieved or that came to fruition really blossomed into something that we can be in union with, right? Have joy around. I think, how do we, shift our perspectives in those regards, even if it's, very, very inch by inch, day by day, move from a mindset of busyness to fullness and fulfillment. That's one way that I've tried to think about it.
I'm going to share with you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I just want to share the Matthew 11:28-30 from the First Nations translation. It just reads so beautifully. It goes like this. Come close to my side, you whose hearts are on the ground, you who are pushed down and worn out, and I will refresh you. Follow my teachings and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest from your troubled thoughts. Walk side by side with me, and I will share in your heavy load and make it light.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that good?
It
Yeah.
is.
It's very similar to what you were saying. The Message translation does a beautiful job too, but when you start to see it from different lenses, you go, there's this abiding cry from deep within us that the Holy Spirit is calling out to us. And I like the wording, find rest from your troubled thoughts. There hasn't been a time in recent years that troubled thoughts haven't been plaguing so heavily on not just me, but people around me, like just in the last couple of months. And it's getting louder, and people are asking, how do we navigate? In fact, a person reached out and say, I know I haven't talked to you for a long time, but I need a pastoral visit. I need to figure out how to process and think through life without getting sucked into all the negativity, right? So we had a great beverage and a chat. It was really helpful, mutually helpful.
Yeah, I guess that right now I'm thinking also, for me anyway, in terms of maybe interior and exterior. So there's my outside world. I'm moving really fast, and I have to get to places and the list that you said. But even when I find myself with downtime, time when I should be able to relax, feel light, I think there's still this inside hurry, this inside churning, whatever it is that oftentimes people feel. And I think it's the burdens that we carry throughout our lives that's impacted us on the inside. It's impacted our soul. Our souls are tired. Even if our body's at rest, our soul's tired. So one of the things I'd like to, toss out, because my background was you have to do all these things in order to get God's favor, was the idea, of course. But so I pushed away from all of that stuff. Yet, some of the, when you read about some of the saints of the past, and even some traditions of the Franciscan monks or the different monk traditions, and you see that they had this practice of solitude, this practice of silence, these practices of what are called the spiritual disciplines. I have to be honest with you. I just pushed back when everybody was telling me all these disciplines you have to do. It just sounded like the same,
Well, if you call them purposes, then it's okay.
What's that?
If you call them purposes, they're okay then.
Okay. You guys talked about the Christian rules?
Christian rules and procedures.
Yeah, this just seemed to fit into that. This is just more crap that I have to do in order to. But at the same token, I've pushed away from that some. I find myself thinking, well, maybe I pushed that away too quick. So maybe some of those practices were beneficial for the rest of my soul and the feeding and nourishing of my soul, so that I could,
one of the things you're saying that has gotten such a tainted rap, especially in the more, deconstructionist, progressive Christian circles. And again, maybe this is me being a little bit, contrarian to some of that, is the idea of discipline. The reality is, and if we just look at it as a metaphor of even childhood and adolescence and adulthood, there are seasons in our life where discipline frames us in a respect that brings pace and tempo and productiveness and rest to our lives. I think I'm a pretty disciplined person on a lot of levels, not on every level, but I'm back to a discipline of working out every day, and that's been really good and productive. It just is. I haven't been there in every season of my life. I'm pretty disciplined with my sleep. I mean, I kind of go to bed almost at the same time every night, and we have a routine. And for my wife and I, it works, and I sleep pretty well. I haven't been completely undisciplined with my diet over the years. I mean, there's been ebbs and flows. At work, I've been able to show up at work every day since I was a young man and do the job I was tasked to do and do it as well as I can and kind of go to the next one. So you think about the word disciple, right? The discipline and disciple have a lot of root there. And I think sometimes we have the whole Jesus thing, and we're liberated, and that's awesome. But it's not always awesome to have a toddler who's completely liberated. That's not probably the wisest move, or even an adolescent child. There's seasons, and those disciplines sometimes we carry even into our more, spiritually speaking, our more adult and even geriatric years, because we've learned the value of them, because they have this ability to bring us into. And so I think that's what you're talking about, these things, Fred, sorry, silence, and these are acts of discipline to create space for us to know and be still.
I almost go to the gym every day, almost Monday, almost Tuesday, almost Wednesday.
So I would just, so to that point, is just don't discourage discipline in your life, even if it feels like you're in a season of liberation. I think sometimes coming back to, doesn't mean legalism. Not legalism, but discipline is a little bit of a different factor. Having something that's, and again, there's a rhythm of grace.
Yeah.
Discipline
rhythm.
gives
Let's definitely cover that in part 2 of this.
Yeah.
Seriously, because we still have like 2 minutes, but when you were talking about the disciplines and the have to rules of the Christian life,
Yeah.
I bought into it hook, line, and sinker because I'm a good performer,
Yeah.
you know? And it wasn't until 25 years ago that when I first discovered I was forgiven, that screwed up my entire discipline of my quiet time. Like, I faithfully had quiet time. I had lists. I went to the church early and I was begging God for stuff that was already mine. Like, honestly, and there's nobody in the church, so I'm not showing off to anybody. This is just me and being honest. Like, even with nobody looking, you lay all prostate out, however you say it. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever the word is, I'd lay it out, just trying to
prostrate.
There we go. That's right, because the other one's not good. So,
yeah.
Thank you. But I felt I had to, in order to be pleasing to the Lord. And when I discovered my identity, my disciplines went out the window because I was doing them to get my identity.
Yeah. And that's a pretty common thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had bought hook, line, and sinker into this whole purpose-driven church stuff. That's what I was talking about before. The purposes, right? The purpose. One of our purposes to worship, to serve, to have community. To I forget what they all are. There's 5 of them. And when we come back for our next program, I'm going to talk to you about how I put them on the back shelf. Because I knew there's still some value to those disciplines. There's something, but I couldn't just toss them completely cold turkey. It just didn't sit right. And so they became the 5 overflows of the naturally abiding believer. We don't have to do them. We get to, and it's our duty. So that's kind of where I sat on it. So I want to come back to this living from a place of rest, living from the unforced rhythms of grace, because this has been a good discussion. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
So, folks, thanks for taking time to join us here on Still Growing in Grace. Hope you're enjoying the conversations, and we'd love to hear back from you. So please message us and let us know if you're watching and from where, and we'll catch you next time. Join me next time on Still Growing in Grace. Enjoy previous episodes by downloading our podcast at growingingrace.ca. If this show's been an encouragement to you, consider making a donation today. For our Canadian link, visit growingingrace.ca, and for our USA link, visit eschurch.com. Your donation will help us continue spreading really good news. Thank you again for tuning in to Still Growing in Grace.